chapter by chapter analysis of Ginger Hubbard's Don't Make Me Count to 3. We're on chapter 12, to spank or not to spank. And this is where Ginger gets even more prescriptive about spanking. She says you should spank for foolishness, which is when a child's been given clear instructions and they defy them anyway, but not for childishness. So a kid, the example she gives is a child playing in the bathtub and gets the floor wet. You don't spank for that the first time. But if you tell them that's wrong and then they do it, then you spank. You don't spank them for the inability to perform intellectually or athletically. You don't spank for accidents. You don't spank before having all of the facts. You don't spank while you're angry. So she leads with that, but then she goes on to say, when is the rod necessary? So when do you spank? Well, everything else, because Proverbs 22:15 says, foolishness is bound up in the heart of the child. And she says, and we know that it is the rod of discipline that drives out that foolishness. Biblically, we discipline for foolishness. And she quotes Roy Lesson, the guy who wrote the spanking book again, and says, this word refers to a selfish disposition of the heart that disregards God's wisdom and will, choosing to live independently of him. So basically anything that a parent deems outside of God's wisdom or God's will. I want to point out here that the book of Proverbs was written to young men. So even if this framework is correct, that spanking should be happening to very young children, why do we have a book of Proverbs written to young adult men who still have not distinguished folly and wisdom? Pulling these Proverbs, I will keep repeating it, taking Proverbs from a book of wisdom literature intended to make observations about life that people could use to cultivate wisdom, that was written for young men to cultivate wisdom, and saying this is saying something about very young children who are very immature in their development, is biblically irresponsible. But this whole chapter is based on that.